Hi, Peter Jones, Chartered Surveyor, author and property investor. And in this video we're going to think about one of those really big subjects that a lot of investors get very concerned about, which is about buying below market value. BMV, you've probably heard the term BMV, buying below market value, and what that actually means. Now, sometimes I hear investors talking about buying below market value as if it means buying below asking price. So for example, if the asking price for a property is 150,000 and they buy it for 140,000, they think they've got it BMV. But have they really? Well, of course, we don't know. It all depends. Certainly, an asking price for a property is not the value of a property. And we don't know how the asking price of the property has been arrived at. Has the asking price been given to the vendor by an estate agent and they've given a very over-optimistic view of the price in order to try and get the instruction from the vendor, in order to get the business? Are the agents thinking that in the future that once they've got the business, they'll put it on the market for a couple of weeks and then they'll ask the vendor to reduce the price down to something more sensible? Possibly. Or perhaps the vendor is in a hurry to get the property sold, and so the property's been put on at what we could call a realistic price, or it's priced to sell. So it may already have an element of discount built into it. Or it could just be that the vendor has persuaded the estate agent to put it on at a particular price, and the estate agent may be humouring the vendor and saying, well, we'll let them go with this price and then we'll reduce it in the future. We just don't know. There could be any number of reasons. I could keep going on and on thinking about different scenarios as to how an asking price is arrived at. Bottom line is, the asking price means nothing. What we're interested in is the true value of the property. So how are we going to know the true value of the property? Well, the way that property is valued in the UK, the most common way for residential property and residential investment property is to think about comparable evidence, to look at the sale prices of other properties which are similar or identical. Not so many identical, most properties are not identical, but they are similar. So look at similar properties in the locality, see what they've been selling for. How do we find the selling prices? Well, you can go on the land registry, but you can go on to Rightmove, and you can look at sold prices nearby. Again, that data is taken from the land registry, really helpful, or net house prices, or mouse price, or many of the different websites out there will show you sold prices. One slight snag is, though, obviously it takes time to get the property registered and to get the price registered at the land registry, so we're always going to be working slightly behind the market in terms of the prices that we can see, but they're going to be within a few months, and so they're going to give us a good guide. So once we know what the market value is, then we can begin to see whether we're buying a property below market value or not. And what I would suggest is, when you're making an offer on a property, never really go by the asking price. Sometimes I'm asked, Peter, should I just offer 10% below asking price? Well, I think, that doesn't make any sense at all. Why are we even thinking about the asking price? The offer you should be making is the figure at which the property makes sense to you to buy. So, for example, in previous videos we've thought about refurbing the property. When you buy a property to refurb, the key thing you need to be thinking about is what the value of the property is going to be once you finish the refurb. Again, we'll find that by looking at sale prices of properties in good condition in your area. Use that as the starting point. Then you can use that to work backwards, taking into account the amount that you're going to be paying on the refurb, plus the amount of profit you want to make to get to a figure. Now, that figure may or may not be the same as, or below, or over the asking price. I don't know, it all depends. But certainly that would be a much better way, I think, of thinking about how much to pay for a property than to think about the asking price. So in that sense, BMV, certainly nothing to do with asking prices. It may be that in order to make a project stack up, you've got to buy it below its current value. Fair enough, but you're only going to know what its current value is when you've done your research and done your due diligence. So anyway, I hope that helps. Never be sort of suckered in by the old argument about, it feels a bit rude to make a silly offer. It's not making a silly offer, it's making a commercial offer that stacks up against the figures that you've come up with to make the deal work for you. So you can go in with a clear conscience. If you feel really bad about it, you can say to the estate agent, look, I've done my figures, I'm not sure you're going to like this, but the most I think I can pay for this property is this. Would you consider putting that forward to your client? That's a friendly way of doing it. Nothing embarrassing in that. So don't get confused by this. Don't get suckered into the BMV versus below asking price argument. We're concerned purely with what we think the property is worth and whether we can buy it at a bargain. So, hope to see you at my website. Come and visit me at www.thepropertyteacher.co.uk. You'll find links there for my ebooks, which I think you'd find helpful if you're going to get started in property. And here's to successful property investing.